your film zone with the Blerds.
Once an idea has taken hold of the brain, it's almost impossible to eradicate.
Unpacking movies has never been more spot on, woke, fire, and just plain lit.
They are lit all the time.
So if you're unsure whether or not to plop down some cash for a Blerd.
When a man with a 45 meets a man with a rifle, the man with a pistol is a dead man.
Rondo's got what plants crave.
It's got electrolytes.
You really only need to hang.
Don't say you weren't warned.
Ridiculous.
Here's Brandon and Jeff.
Hi, this is Jeff Stewart with the Film Blerds podcast, and I am joined here by the star of the upcoming horror thriller. Is that what we're calling it?
I call it an apocalyptic thriller.
Apocalyptic thriller, 40 Acres, Danielle Deadwyler. And I've been practicing saying your last name for the longest time because I don't want to mess it up. My mouth wants to say Deadweller for some reason.
Oh,
but
Deadwyler.
So, full disclosure, you are absolutely terrifying in this movie, but also the only person I would want to be in the apocalypse with. You are both hard and matronly, which is a kind of weird dynamic, but it fits the world that RT has built. How did you get involved in this whole entire thing?
Oh, man, the traditional way. RT sent the script to the team, and they enabled me to read it. And I found it compelling. The powers that be made it happen in that it was during the strikes. And so we got a waiver to do it. And I had maybe 2 weeks to get my mind right to jump in. And I just was attracted to the conversation that was being had with the family and the land. That was pretty critical for me at that time. I think we filmed fall 2023, and I just wanted to dive into that. I think I was attracted also still to the thriller nature of it all, the action of it all. Action can be very much akin to dance. It's choreography. It's about the body. And so employing the body is critical in everything that I do, whether it's as someone who walks with more stillness or someone who is agile and flexible and fucking it up the way Haley does. It's something that I just want to explore on all different kinds of levels. And so then the ability to be having a historical conversation or a cross-national conversation with an American and Canadian experience and just putting all that together in the midst of what a family drama is, and the dire circumstances that they're living within, that all just revs up for a complex, beautiful exploration of how to stay connected and how to stay loving. At the root, what does it mean to be human and to stay connected and loving is what I think everything is trying to get to the root of. And this did it for me on that level.
All right. I mean, you use the word complex, which is apt for this movie, because before I had actually watched it, the trailer seemed like it was, okay, this is going to be another post-apocalyptic bang, bang, shoot 'em up thing, which is not bad, when done right. But from the jump, it was very, like, it was obvious that you were doing something more with this. So with that being said, we don't see too many characters like or too many POC people, person of color led movies like this, right? Especially Black women. I'm sorry.
you're like Black and Indigenous specifically.
Black and Indigenous, right?
What does that family look like?
Right. Was that something that was in the back of your mind throughout the whole entire thing? Like, you are going to be a representative, sort of like I don't want to say a trailblazer, but
no, I'm not thinking about that at all.
No?
Yeah, I just want to tell a proper story. I'm not necessarily thinking about representation. I'm just thinking about the richness of storytelling, the kind of things that I want to see, and doing that most authentically and honestly as I possibly can. Being a first, right, or something like that, that's not the drive. It's being unique is the drive. Telling something from an especial perspective is the drive.
Okay, that's amazing. So the character is very intense. Was it difficult getting into that headspace? What did you do to, like you said, you only had 2 weeks?
Yeah, I'm into
to sort of, which doesn't seem like a lot of time at all.
It's not a lot of time, honestly. Like, just to you gotta upset your life and stabilize what happens and then go off and make a whole new life, right? Like with an art family and all that. Therefore, a lot of it I could connect to, right? When you're talking about a Southern woman being in a fish out of water of sorts, but also having connection to that land, having that knowledge and wanting to impart that knowledge to her children, being fiercely protective and guarded, also infusing them with knowledge of how to survive. That's something that, like, that's Black motherhood in general today. There will be a lot of, correlative, thematic, instructive, elements that people will be able to see in the film between themselves, their parents, their mother, their Black mother, if they got one, their grandmama, if they got one. Like, there are things that a part of the lineage across families, across ethnicities, quite frankly, across nationalities, that are going to be able to drop them right into the experience of Haley and Galen trying to rear their family in this apocalyptic world.
So, what was one of your favorite scenes to film? But also, what was one of the most challenging ones? And they don't have to be mutually exclusive. They could be the same one. But
I will say the most difficult was the climactic scene, fighting scene. I'm not going to give it away for people, but the one for me, right? I think it was challenging in that, I mean, when you're making an indie movie, a lot of the time you're working with what you got, and you are at the mercy of all things, the weather. You are at the mercy of the land, in our case too. And so things shifted that brought us into the space that we had to film in. But it at the end of the day all makes total sense about the arc that has been driven and the ways that Haley has been and having to shift and change who she is, that make utter and complete sense. And the things were constantly changing. If you want to shoot outside, it's a totally different thing than shooting inside. And so all of that is changing, like how the movement and the choreography of things is happening. So that was challenging, but deeply, deeply rewarding. It's also difficult to fight at, clock in the morning. But so be it, Yeah. And I think the fun stuff, the stuff that, and mind you, I love doing that, right? Because it's delightful to dance, right? That fight scenes are nothing but dance, and I am a dancer first. I love the family scenes. at the dinner table. That's what we're at core talking about and fighting for: the ability to be together, the ability to learn who each other are and are growing into, the ability to play, the ability to teach and be taught, the ability to remember, the ability to encourage each other's love and growth. Michael Gray Eyes taught me the word for love in Cree, and it is kasagati. And it's not just eros. It's to see one grow, to see yourself reflected. That's what love is in Cree. And so I think that those dinner scenes are, especially the first one, is that. So you get to see the full gamut of why these people are fighting the way they are, so they can't be together and be loving.
Right, and that's that's a beautiful statement. Watching the film, coming from a military family, I was able to sort of lock in and resonate. Like it's totally different situations, but like things that you said or things that you did or your mannerisms is like, yeah, I know that person. Like I grew up with that person. Yeah. So beautifully rendered and authentic.
I know them too. They weren't necessarily women. I grew up with, uncles who were in the military who served the country in various infractions globally, and that has an impact on the way they see the world, how hard they can be. They are deeply loving, and yet they have their ways. And there is something valuable and critical to their perspective. And everybody just wants to be loved and valued for their perspective, right? So, Haley.
And we go back to that whole entire theme of complexity. This is a post-apocalyptic thriller, and we're talking about family love, familial love throughout the entire this conversation, and it flows throughout the entire movie. So that's a testament to what you've created here. So we're about to wrap up, but I want to ask, how much input did you have into the script? It landed on your table. You wanted to do it. Did you have conversations with RT that sort of changed the way it flowed?
Yeah, I mean, they're living. I think you have a locked script, and then you have a living script that's happening in the midst of the changes and the dynamism of filmmaking. Things did shift along the way. You're trying to maintain a proper narrative based on location, right? Like things, like I said, with regard to a pivotal scene, like it wasn't what it ended up not being what it was on the script as a result of climate, weather issues or whatever. And you're trying to marry the shift that one goes through as a filmmaker, just trying to make it happen, as well as, is this making sense for the narrative? Is this making sense for this character in this moment? It's my responsibility as an EP creatively to do the checks and balances of fluidity, of common sense making in character, in story, in plot, in all those things. And so we had ongoing conversations about who she was, how she would talk, and would there be language at a certain time? It's like it gets to a point where enough fucking talking, let's get to it. We being militaristic, we being hardcore. I don't got to be, cute and loquacious at all. There's no need. It's time for fighting. Because that is a language too, right? So we had a lot of conversations over the course of the entire film production in order to get to the heart of who she became on the film you see.
Well, like I said, I absolutely loved this film. I was shaking at the end of it, but when it was over, because it was so tense throughout the entire film that it felt like I had gone through something, right? Like I had endured with you. So, like, it's a testament to the movie. That's my time. Danielle, thank you for joining me. 40 Acres. Go out and see it, because you will not be disappointed. I am joined here today by the writer and director of the upcoming action horror thriller post-apocalyptic movie 40 Acres, mouthful, starring Danielle Deadwyler. Thanks for joining us this morning, RT Thorne.
Greatly appreciate it. Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. First off the bat, let me just say I love the movie. All right. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So where did it come from? Where did the idea spring forth from?
I think, I think I wanted to have a conversation about my mother, the importance of Black mothers in Black sons' lives. My mother is, she's a figure, she's a person that gave me, everything that I've needed to move through and navigate my life. So she instilled an incredible discipline in me, work ethic, and really sort of, made sure I learned my history. You know what I mean? That the book reports in the movie, that's right from my mom. My mom was like, I don't trust these institutions to teach you about you. So she's like, you're going to learn and you're going to reflect that back to me. So, all of those things were part of my upbringing. She was very strict. Let me just say this, Mom, you are not a military killer. That's not out here. Let me just put that out there. But, but she ran a really strict household. And I think I wanted to have a conversation about that time in any young man's life when, they kind of bump up against, that strictness and that way of living and want to find their own way. So that was a part of it, kind of a coming of age story. And then I absolutely, I'm a genre kid, man. So I love action. I love suspense. I love horror. I love science fiction and post-apocalyptic tales. And so I think I wanted to take that sort of coming of age story, a specific one between a Black mother and son, and then project it into, the highest stakes possible, where if you break curfew, now, your mom might be mad. If you break curfew over there, she might take your head off. You know what I'm saying? So, so that was it.
Yeah. And, in the beginning of this interview, I laid out all of the genres that this movie falls into. But what it really is, and you've said it yourself, is a drama. Mm-hmm. Right? It's a family drama. And it does the thing that all great horror movies do. It subverts your expectations, and it also is about something, right? So how long from pen to release, like what was the process? Like, how long did it take you to write it, cast it? What was the process with that?
It's quite a while. It took better part of 6 years, maybe even a tiny bit longer. Reality of it is that, I've been directing for a while. I came up in music video world and was fortunate and did a lot of work with a lot of different artists around the world. And then I moved into television, to tell longer form storytelling. But I think any director, who's out here, we all want to make films. The films touch you in a way that, no other type of entertainment does. And so, I know that the film that I wanted to make, my first film, I just knew that I didn't want to just take a script from somewhere else. I was getting some scripts. They weren't they were kind of stereotypical things that I was like, that can't be my first expression. So I took my time with this story and really, started to write it and teamed up with a really good friend of mine, Glenn Taylor, to bring this story to light. And I developed it in, Toronto International Film Festival has a talent lab similar to the Sundance talent lab kind of thing. So we took it there. And developed it a little bit there. And then we teamed up with, I knew that the film was growing in scope. And I wanted to do certain things. Like I knew I wanted to shoot on location on an actual farm, and do as little set building as I could. So, we needed some good independent financing and a producer with some heft that could do that. So we teamed up with the legacy producer here in Canada, by the name of Jennifer Holness, who has a track record of bringing Black stories to the screen. And so, we teamed up with her, probably about 3 years in. And then we just kept working it. And the pandemic taught us a lot as well. We went through that. Everybody went through that. But, I don't know if you remember, pandemic now is like, oh yeah, we went through that. But the first 6 months of that pandemic,
yeah,
everybody was like, this is crumbling, and so during that time, real questions, the questions I was putting into the film, they became a reality. It's like, do I have the skills to provide for my family? Can I grow food if there is no more food, available? Those are the things, can I protect them in a real way? So it became very real in that moment, and it sort of catapulted the script forward in a real way. And then, we shot in, I feel like the end of 2023 is when we shot it. Danielle came on board. It was a strike year. I think there was a SAG strike going on in that year. And, but luckily, because we were an independent feature, we were able to sort of, contact her and deal with her, because that strike was majorly against the major studios. Right. So, and so, she jumped on board and she loved the script, and we were off to the races, man.
Yeah. And it's crazy how the pandemic really did inform your script. It was like a dry run for what you were actually writing, which is crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is your very first feature then, right? Because I've gone through your CV and it's like, oh man, you've done a lot, right? Yeah. So I always ask filmmakers this: there's the film that you write, the film that you shoot, the film that you edit, and then there's the film that you release. And during each one of those phases, the film evolves, it changes, whatever, like that. From then to now, you said the pandemic informed it a lot. Had it changed a lot from what you have originally set out to do? Or is it like, this is the movie, this is exactly the movie that I saw in my head, plus 5?
Yeah, I would say that it evolved for sure. I mean, it was always about a family. It was always about a Black family as a core farming family trying to survive. In this future, it was always about trust. It was always about the question of community, whether you stay to yourself, isolation, or whether you build with community. So all of those elements were there. The coming of age, as I said before, was kind of the core of it. So that was always there. Yes, it did evolve, as it became, once the pandemic hit and really kind of kicked in, I wanted it to be this this family that was made up of different people, and it had this indigenous component. But when the pandemic kicked in, like I said, these things became so real, and then I started thinking, like, we're having this conversation about land sovereignty in this film, and so it made me deep dive a little more into indigenous agricultural practices, how they solve problems on their farms and when they grow food, because they don't use they use chemicals and these things that are readily available. So some of those cultural things that the characters are talking about, they became more woven in, and became very important to me. This idea of cultural resilience as well as your actual survival of your life. But the idea of, in this future, how does this family maintain who they are at a core? And it's through doubling down on the things that have kept us alive for hundreds of years, right? Black people have gone through the slave trade, but there's common things that every Black community does, is understanding of their history, reclaiming of their history, the importance of music, art, dance, movement. These things they're part of us, our food practices, like I said, and for the indigenous folk, their language practices, that's the voice of their ancestors. So those things became really important to focus on as I kept writing through the pandemic. And then once you get to the actor stage and you start working with them on the screen or they're on the set, they bring what they bring to it. And I think any director worth their stuff is, if you cast well. I think Martin Scorsese said it, 90% of directing is casting the right people, because they're just going to come in and inhabit, and you as a director, you can step back and let them interact and let them move with it. And then I love the process of this. I'm loving the process of filmmaking because you get some time to focus on the post, and the film speaks to you in a way that, I'm like, I wrote this film. I know what this film is. I wrote this scene. I love this scene. And then you get the film telling you, you don't need this scene. You know what I mean? And you got to listen to the film. You right. Cut it because it flows better. It works better. So it's a wonderful process, the evolution of it. Yeah.
All right. So let's bounce off of that. So, kill your darlings, right? Like, it didn't work in your cut. You had to cut it out. What was a scene that you wish you could have kept in, but, it didn't serve the story?
Yeah. Oh man, there's a couple. I mean, and God willing, we get a little Blu-ray thing. You'll see some of them on there.
Oh, I'm buying it.
There was a few. There's a great scene where Danielle and some of the girls, there's a moment of levity that, Danielle, she sees what they're doing. They're supposed to be watching the monitors when she walks in, and they're playing like a little dance video game. And she out there and she starts dancing with them, which is just like, a real human moment, between and daughters. And there was a good few, man. There's a good few scenes that. Well,
that's that sounds like a lovely scene. The movie is tight as it is, right? Like, it is. There's no fat on it. I can't wait to buy the Blu-ray. Right, I can't wait to see your full, complete vision. Before I go, what's next for you? What's the next project? You like, first feature in the can?
Yeah.
What's the second one? What can we be looking forward to?
Well, I can't. I don't think I can let that one out the bag yet because I'm still crafting it. But I am working on something that I think will speak to a lot of young men. I think there's a lack of cinema that is speaking to young men these days, that is telling stories that they can connect to, that are not a superhero story or something like that. So I'm working on something like that would speak to my younger self, coming up. So that's going to be the next project the next movie that I'm working on. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to keep that on my radar. I can't wait to see what you do next. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for this movie. All right. 40 Acres. Everybody go out and see this. Support indie cinema, but also support just a really good movie. Right? That's original and doesn't have any capes in it. I promise. No capes.
We're the Film Blerds. I'm Brandon Norwood, and I'm the motherfucking protagonist.
I'm the protagonist.
I'm Jeff Stewart, a.k.a. He Who Remains.
Don't come at us. It's just fucking movies.
You love what you guys do, man.
I never miss an episode. It's the best.
It's my favorite podcast.
Follow Jeff on IG on MindFireXL and Brandon on Twitter at BJN Tweets.